Welcome to the third and final part of our interview with Dr. Maya Angelou, a global Renaissance woman and a champion for education. Listen in as she shares advice for our youth and candidly talks about the catalyst for her writing career. Dr. Angelou, please tell me how you originally got inspired to become a writer.
I stopped speaking from the time I was 7 until I was about 13 because I had been raped, and I told the name of the rapist to my brother. The man was put in jail for 1 day and 1 night and then let go. And a few days later, the police came into my mother's house and told her that the man had been found dead, and it seemed he'd been kicked to death. They told her that in my hearing, and I thought my voice had killed the man. It was my 7-year-old logic. And so I thought if I speak, my voice could just go out and kill anybody. Out the keyhole, out the door, out the window. Anybody in the house, except my brother. I could tell him anything because I loved him so much, and he loved me so much, that I knew I couldn't hurt him. But until I was 13, he was the only person to whom I would speak. And but I read every book in the black school. And then the black lady who started me to reading when I was really about 7 and a half, she told me when I was 12, she said, "You don't like poetry." And I used to write, I had a little tablet. So I'd write, "Yes, ma'am." She wouldn't even look at my tablet. And she pointed me. And you know, that's so rude in in the culture, we don't like that. You even have a saying, "Don't put your finger in my face." No. But she would do that just to anger me and excite me and shock me. She said, "You will never love it until you feel it come across your tongue, over your lips, through your lips. You will never love poetry." And I memorized. I had Paul Laurence Dunbar by James Weldon Johnson, Countee Cullen, Langston Hughes. I had Georgia Douglas Johnson, Anne Spencer. I had Paul Laurence. I had Shakespeare, some 60 sonnets of Shakespeare. I didn't talk. What else was there to do?
Yes.
So finally, I thought, I can write. I can write some of this. So I started writing probably some of the worst poetry west of the Rocky Mountains, but I wrote poetry. And there's a tablet, an album of mine in the Rare Books room at the Schomburg, of work I'd done when I was 9. And it's some bad poetry, but I was trying. It was a rat sat on the mat. That's that, not a cat. So,
Do you still have some of that poetry?
oh no, it's at I gave my work to the Schomburg in New York.
Well, I was always curious as to how you inspired to begin, and now I know. Now I know. And just finally wanted to ask you if there was anything additional you would like to share, just a message out for the youth.
Yes. I would say to the youth, make friends with your librarian. When I was leaving home, my mother told me to go to the bank, introduce myself, even if I had $50 to put in, introduce myself to a bank, one of the tellers, not the teller, but one of the managers, and say, "I've chosen your bank for me." Make friends with the bartender in case I ever wanted a bottle of wine on a Sunday. You can't buy it in New York on Sunday. So I could always go to a bartender that I knew and say, "If you lend me this, I'll bring it back to you on Monday." Make friends with a pharmacist. So in case I lose a prescription, the pharmacist, this was long before today when everything is on computer, but 50 years ago, 60 years ago, I would make friends with the pharmacist so that in case I lost a prescription, or ran out or ruined it somehow, I could get another prescription or get enough to hold me until the doctor's office opened. And also to make friends with the filling station, a gas station owner and worker. I found that to be seriously wonderful advice. I would add to that, to young students, make friends with your librarian. Introduce yourself to the librarian. She or he has studied his discipline with as much diligence as have open heart surgeons and thermonuclear propulsion scientists. Go to the librarian and say, my name is Joan Jackson, and I need to know more about my history. Would you help me? The librarian, she'll have about 2 or 3 minutes of, she'll shock. But once the shock is over, the librarian will search throughout the state and the United States to satisfy your request. Make him a partner with you in your achieving an education. She and he will be delighted to be called into service. And then realize this, that a good student can make a mediocre teacher great. Go to the classroom. Hold your hand up. Have done your homework. Have your homework done. So that you can say, but Mr. Smith, I read on page 74. The teacher would say, I only asked you to read to 50 and you read to 74. Yes, what is it? So let the teacher have a hand in getting your education. You see? Make partners. Don't make enemies. I'm not saying make partners with the evil or with the bad, with the no good, but make partners with the good. So you have an oil well in your backyard. Thank you very much for asking me, Ms. Bafor.
Thank you. Thank you. The students will all be better off for your wise words.
Thank you.